We have several items on the agenda this evening. First item on the agenda for 7 p.m. is Joseph Mulvey. Mr. Mulvey present. Next item on the agenda, Fire Chief Sherry Bemis.
Okay, let's look at this.
Public Safety, Mutual Aid.
Good evening.
Good evening, Sherry.
I had, Karen, you gave everybody your package about the public safety mutual aid. This has been a topic for a couple of years that we've now realized, I think, as we move on to some regionalized stuff, that we need to sign on for this in order to participate in a number of events and activities. Some of the stuff that right now is being held up by not signing on for this is we've been asked to join a multi-town team to approach shelter operations and other emergency management type stuff. And without signing on for this, we have trained people ready to run a shelter, but we don't have enough people to run a shelter. This type of public safety mutual aid would allow us to share those sort of resources. That's just one example of what those resources would be. It would also be able to make us available for some FEMA and MEMA money, because we are part of some of these regionalized approaches to public safety. In your packet are letters of support from the Chief of Police, the DPW Director, the Board of Health. Those are just a few examples of the departments that would be able to benefit from this public safety mutual aid. I think at this point in time, none of us are fully equipped or staffed to be able to handle a large-scale event. The example that I put in my memo to you was when we had all those building collapses from the heavy ice a couple years ago. Just something as simple as if we'd had a building collapse, to be able to call in other building inspectors to help us, to call in other agencies with heavy equipment to move those buildings, that type of stuff. So it's strictly for those emergency large-scale events. So, does anybody have any questions on?
For clarification, Chief, would you please explain the fact that we already have public safety?
Yes.
And compare the two?
In fact, we've been operating with public safety mutual aid on the fire and EMS side for many, many years to handle those large events. What we may have for staff in-house for either police or fire may not be able to handle those large events. What this particular if you opt in, will expand that to include Board of Health, something as simple, even finance directors. If there's a large event in, say, our town or another town that goes on for weeks, we can start sharing staff, inspectors, payroll people, even yourselves could be involved. If let's say we had a large-scale event here, there's only so many hours out of the day that we can all be upright. So it would allow us to bring in other town managers, other Board of Selectmen, Board of Health, inspectors. I mean, it expands it to basically all town agencies, which is certainly a benefit to us as well as to any other town. But that's what this is geared towards, is those really big, long, drawn-out events. And I hate to go back, but let's say, for instance, we had a building collapse at Home Depot. We do not have the staff or the equipment to handle that as a lone agency. So we would be able to, I could contact, say, the DPW director and say, I need more heavy equipment. And he could reach out to other DPWs and get the equipment that I need to move beams and equipment off of people. The police chief could reach out to get assistance for security at the event, traffic at the event. I could reach out to other agencies for, building inspectors to come help us with these types of things. So it expands it to beyond just public safety. Why do they call it a public safety? It's more municipal relief is what they originally were calling it. So.
Board members? Yes.
Well, Sherry, I looked over the information that you gave us, and based on the fact that it's an emergency situation, I'm all in favor of this. I think in the event of an emergency, you take like the tornado that happened out west, it would be nice to be able to share our resources to help out others as well as if we needed it. I've read this over. I think it's a great idea. It could help out all our departments, DPW, Board of Health, so on and so forth. So I agree with you, and I support this.
And we'd be the magic number of 200 signing on if we sign on for it. So Dudley just signed on. They were in the paper, I believe, today or yesterday. And that's the other thing. All of our primary mutual aids which our primary mutual aids would be the towns that directly abut us. Every one of them have signed on, with the exception of Webster. All our secondary mutual aids, which if you imagine mutual aid kind of going in concentric circles, the next outer ring of mutual aid have all signed on, with the exception of Sturbridge. And as you get further out, every one of those have signed on. So we're in a good place. In fact, that everybody around us that we would be normally calling for this help have already signed on for it.
Any other questions? Yes.
Just a comment, I did read it over, and I think that we as a board, from Selectman LaMarche's comment, I'll speak for myself right now, but this clearly can be distinguished from a non-emergency public works mutual aid agreement, which is what we were presented with a few weeks ago. So this is emergency only, share town resources, and I think that makes it all a completely different animal, so I just want to go on the record saying that.
I think, and we've proven, as Chairman Sad mentioned, we've been doing it on the public safety side for years and have proven that it works. That we are able to get resources when we need it. This is just expanding it out to other resources beyond just your public safety.
Mr. Vos?
Hey, Chief, as you know, we spoke the other day it was quite some time, probably 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it was, and I was really impressed with your knowledge of the packet, the mutual aid packet you put in front of us today. I feel this is really important for the community of Oxford, because it gives us another layer of protection. You know, God forbid we have another disaster, you know, a tornado, hurricane. You know, it could hit Oxford and not hit Charlton, and we could be, so without this, you know, we wouldn't be able to give our residents the added protection that we need. And I just want to commend you for all your hard work and
I appreciate
working
that.
this packet. And I know that, from speaking with you, how much you care about the town of Oxford and all the hard work you're putting in, not only for this type of thing, but, a bunch of different things that you're doing with the senior outreach and all the programs you got going in town. So I just want to thank you while we have the opportunity.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Selectman Vos just had mentioned the senior outreach. We just recently wrote a grant for $2,000, and that money is being used to educate seniors in emergency preparedness. So it's one of the many projects we have out there to try and educate the public on how to take care of themselves. And by a lot of the stuff that we've done recently, and you'll see some of my supporters back here from our Emergency Operations Center are here, and we fully understand, because of this, we've been invited into this regionalized thing that we would never been invited into in the past. So we're being recognized for the approach that we've taken. Our Emergency Operations Center has been recognized by MEMA as being probably one of the better in the state, the most organized in the state. So we're being used as an example. So, I mean, that Emergency Operations Center is not just me, it's all of your department heads. And we were activated for the first time during the ice storm, and I think we handled it very well. We've done a number of drills to see how fast we can open that Emergency Operations Center. We've had it open in less than 15 minutes, which is, I think, commendable to all of them. In addition to the fact that we've participated in a number of local drills with other towns, and our EOC members attend those drills. So.
Any other comments? I would just like to comment that I know how well that works, because I sat in on your last emergency meeting when we were sitting in the room back here, and you were there, the police department was represented, highway department, all the departments that would be necessary in order to take care of an emergency situation within the community. Thank God we didn't need it, but we were prepared, and that's thanks to you and the other employees in this town that had the foresight to look ahead and plan ahead. So, and I'm sure that this particular request that you're asking for will also put us in a good position to get federal or state grants. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It gives us, right off the bat, the regionalized, they call it tri-epic, but it's actually 6 towns, so I believe that it just has to be multiples of 3 and it'll work. But the tri-epic committee just got awarded $32,000 in grant money to start training people in shelter operations, training community emergency response teams. By signing into this, we get part of that money to do training of our CERT people. It also frees us up to do more local grants. Some of the grants that I've been writing, and I can submit that. I did give a copy of it to Selectman Vos, I believe, today on some of the grants we've written. But I can continue to use those small grants to take care of our immediate needs while we become part of the larger grants to take care of equipment and stuff like that. So some of the grants that we have out there right now are more to get the EOC up and running, to get some equipment, specialized equipment. Those larger grants through the multi-towns gets us stuff that I wouldn't be able to get as a small community. You know, the grants that I've been getting are $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 grants. We're not going to get a $32,000 grant to do this type of stuff. So it gets split between the towns, but we work together to get the job done, so it absolutely does.
Very good. If there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the request.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I have a motion that's been moved and seconded. Discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, let the record show 5 in the affirmative. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your nice
Thanks,
comments,
Sherry.
too.
The next item on the agenda is an interview for full-time police officer Jennifer M. Scott.
Mr. Chairman, I want to step away from the room while this goes on.
Okay, let the record show that Mr. Vos and Mr. Lamountain will not be participating. Good evening, Jennifer.
Evening.
Been how long since we last interviewed you? It seems like it was just yesterday.
It does.
So we're very familiar with your background, because we've been through this before. I'm going to open it up for the board to ask any questions that they may have, and I'd just like to make note that Jennifer is the only candidate for this position tonight. So with that, I'll open to the board. Yes.
Thank you. Well, welcome, Jen, and I'm going to make a little confession. I have to be honest that when we interviewed you for the intermittent position, I was one of those people that just didn't think you had what it took. You know, from your mannerisms and things like that night, I was really leery. That's one of the reasons I didn't recommend you. At this point, I've talked to the chief, talked to several of the officers you've been working with, training with. They inform me you've really come a long way. You're working very hard, and you're really got a good attitude. You come in on time. You're really trying to do your job real well. So I congratulate you and wish you the best of luck, and just want to tell you to just keep working hard, because I'm sure with your hard work, you've proved it to me. Like I said, I was a doubter, and you've proved that, you know, you can do this job. So good luck with it, and keep up the hard work.
Thank you.
Ms. Casey?
Thank you. What a long and windy road, huh? But here you are, last man standing. Congratulations to you, and
Thank you.
I know how hard that you've worked, as Selectman Lamarche said, to get to this point, and you've really persevered, and we do have a strong recommendation from the chief who was here this evening. He did put it in writing for us. I don't have any set questions per se. I would just ask you, as you move forward, what do you think that you need to work on to be a better police officer as you go forward?
I think just from when I started, I know that I needed to work on my confidence, and I feel that every day there's something new and different. So to say one thing that I need to work on is hard, because every call, every situation is always different. So I just want to keep doing what I've been doing and just proving that I, earned it to be here, and that I worked really hard, and that, I'm following the right steps. But I think that the full-time academy will just put me at that, next step where I need to be. And I think it will give me even more confidence where I need to, and even more knowledge. I think with this job, you always need knowledge, and you always need to check with the laws and be updated on everything. So just keeping current with everything that's going on, I think, is what I need to just keep doing from here forward.
Good, good. That's refreshing, because usually with police officers, we got to talk them off the confidence ledge. So you got nowhere to go but up, and that's a good spot to be. That's great humility, and all police officers need that. So I appreciate your answer. I wish you the best, and if I were
you.
going to Foxwoods tonight, I'd put all my money on you.
Thank you.
I would just like to say, Jennifer, that I was impressed with you when you first came in.
Thank you.
I thought that by reading your background and your educational initiatives that you have put forward over the years, it was quite evident that you wanted this to be a career path for you. So I was plugging for you at that time because I saw a young, energetic individual who wants to be a police officer, and it's not easy. And you're right, the confidence thing is very, very important. But that comes with time,
Yeah.
with experience, and, I just hope that you will understand that. And don't be afraid to call for backup.
Never.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. We have a police force that is very knowledgeable.
Yes.
I have the highest respect for every individual that's out there on the street. They know what they're doing. So you've got good
Agree.
teachers.
Yes,
So the
I
best
agree.
best of luck to you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Any other comments or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I would second the appointment of Jennifer Scott to the position of full-time police officer.
Okay? And then I'll call for the vote if there's no further discussion.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Let the record show 3 in the affirmative, 2 abstention, motion carries.
you.
Congratulations.
Your clerk has appointment papers for
Jennifer, you can pick up your appointment papers from the clerk.
Okay.
Oh, you don't have them?
She's going to
Okay.
have to get sworn in,
You can
too,
get
right?
those tomorrow?
She comes to get sworn in tomorrow.
Okay.
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 Do you want that as contingency? Do you want that as, should we vote that as a contingency? Yeah. Through the chair,
Oh, the medical?
if we could,
Yeah, go ahead.
I would just, if I could suggest to the Selectman Lamarche May the 1st that our vote be contingent upon passage of the medical and the PATS test, as we've done in all prior full-time appointments, and I'd make my second contingent on that as well.
Yes. Yes.
I'll make it unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you.
And that's routine, we do that for all full-time appointments. Next item on the agenda, interviews for police sergeant. First up would be Jeremy Gwinnett. Good evening, Jeremy.
I'm left-handed, so I want to sit over here.
Make yourself comfortable, wherever it's comfortable.
Actually, the other chair was the lucky chair Jennifer Scott sat in that, so, hey, it's up to you.
Oh, I always make the wrong choice.
Okay. So it's been almost a year and a half since we've done this before with you and the other candidates that had taken that test back then. So we only had to really review anything that transpired with your background between that point in time and today. So with that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to open it up for questions from the board. I'm sure you're familiar with the process. You've done it a couple of times so far. And we take a number of things into consideration. We take the civil service scores into consideration. We take your background. We take the chief's recommendation. We take your educational background and personal observations of you in the community and of you as actually being a police officer on the job. Okay? So with that, I'll open it up for questions. Mr. Lamarche?
Thank you. Well, Jeremy, I actually took the time to get down to the selectman's office and sit there and look through the packets that we were given, so I've kind of got a pretty good idea of your educational experience, your years of experience, your overall background. I have to make a comment because I kind of tickled me a little bit that all 3 of the candidates started out as intermittent officers, and we've been kind of chastised a little bit about having intermittent officers, but I had to state that anyway. So anyway, looking at the records, my question is basically, I've looked it over, and coming in tonight, I'm baffled. I'm really on the edge. I need to get a handle. Why should I vote for you? Could you tell me why, in your opinion, why should I vote for you versus the other two candidates?
Well, thank you, Mr. Lamarche. There's a lot of things that have gone on in my career. I've been here almost 14 years. I'd like to say Chairman John Sadd and Selectman Jenny Casey appointed me December 15th, 1998, and I'm still thankful to this day for that. They gave a young 23-year-old guy just starting out an opportunity to do something great, and I hope that I've affirmed your decision that night and made you proud of that. But it's a body of work. It's everything that I've done and everything that I've tried to do and believe that a police officer should do, but it's not just that. It's who you are outside of here, who you are in the community, who I am in the community. I'm a husband, a father of three boys. I'm active in the community. I'm active on the job. I put myself in situations and taken on assignments that have gained me valuable experience. And experience to me is being able to be involved in events and circumstances that you can draw on in the future. And some of that is on us as officers, being proactive in where we go and what we do and how we handle ourselves. So it's a whole body of work. I'm proud of my training. I'm a field training officer certified. I helped implement our first training program. I think that the position of sergeant is very important. It's a perpetual function of a sergeant to be a trainer. You're constantly training. And I have training in training, and I've enjoyed working with these part-time officers. I'm proud that Ms. Scott, she was one of my recent trainees, and that's a perpetual function, very important. I have that training, that background, the school resource program that was implemented, and I feel like I pioneered and I've had a good time with. I've learned about the community and the school departments and how the town works in that aspect, and given back to the kids, done a lot of programs on my own time, and there's so many things that I could sit here and say, and I've had commendations, a couple from the chiefs, written formal, hanging on my wall at home, or I've gone out and done things too. Mr. Sadd had asked in the past, and I took it under consideration, what have you done since the last time you were here on your own? Not just what the department sends me to, not what they pay me to do, but what have I done? And I went out and I got a master's degree because I thought that was important, and I apply those things that I've learned constantly, and I utilize that for the town. Most importantly, though, why you should hire me tonight is not what I think. It's not my opinion. It's the people behind me, the men and women I work with. I know how they feel about me here tonight. I've got the texts and the phone calls and the handshakes all day long today. I have their support, and that's what I work for. I need their support and their respect. Maybe there was a time if you asked me, do you think you could be sergeant? Yeah, I think so. Today I know so, and I know why, because of them. It's not me. It's them, their approval of me, their respect of me, and to you and everybody watching on the cameras. I'm the last guy here. That opinion really matters. At this point, I don't think I could be a sergeant. I don't think I should be a sergeant. I know I should be, and I know I can be because of how they treat me. They come to me. They ask me questions. They come to me for advice, and I help them out. So, all the way up to the chief, all the way down to sergeants, and everybody, I've had so much support from them. So many good things have been said, and patrolmen, part-time officers, Debbie Light in the office, dispatchers, everybody's been so supportive. So in here I know now, and I know it's because of them and through you and everyone else. So I'm comfortable here, and I would never sit in front of all of you and put myself out here in this position not knowing that I'm ready to do this. So that's what it is for me.
Thanks. Good answer. Good answer. I like that.
Well
Thank you.
rehearsed
That's it.
Yeah.
many times over the past couple weeks.
Jeez, I don't know. I follow
Did I
up with
miss
that.
anything? I almost did like a quarterback and went here.
All right.
You really did.
Well, maybe something a little bit easier.
I wanna see if he
Simple
remembers
question,
what he said now.
I've been asked this when I ran for selectman years ago, and I had 100 people ask me this question. What am I going to ask you?
Oh, boy, about police work?
No. Why do you want to be
Why-
a sergeant?
Yeah, why do you want to be a sergeant? I think it's the next step for me. I've done so much. It's something that I'm interested in and that I think I could be good at. And like I've said about respect, I think leadership and the ability to lead the officers is granted from them to me. And I think that, I know that they're going to grant that to me, and I have that respect. I want to help them. I want to be there. The good sergeant is there and helps people be confident on the scene. The officers be confident that they have somebody there that knows what they're doing and can help them and get us all through. So it's a comforting thing. It's a leadership thing, a respectability thing. It's about knowledge. I have the knowledge and the skills, and I know that I can do this. So now I want to take it to the next level. I think I can give back to the department even more at the next level. And I want to be a sergeant because that'll give me an opportunity to do that, to use the things that I've acquired over these years and, put them to good use at the next level for the department, for the community.
One other question, I've seen this a lot, on police cars, on the police building, protect and serve. What do you think the serve means?
Serving to me is, I think I talked about this last time with Selectmen said, our job, once you come to the realization of what it really is all about, it's about helping people, and that sounds very cliche, just like protect and serve does, but they pick up the phone, it's a big step for them, and they call you and they need something from you. And if you can give that to them and comfort them, and it's not about always making an arrest or getting the bad guy, if you will, it's not about that, that hard attitude. I'm a proponent of community policing and a little bit more approachability also, but serving the people is about giving them what they need and making them, comfortable. I can't always give them everything. Sometimes my hands are tied. I'm a criminal investigator, but no matter what it is, if I can just comfort them somehow and make them feel, at home here, it's all about that. It's about serving the victims and making them whole in whatever they need.
Thank you.
Mr. Lamont?
Good answer, Jeremy. I just want a simple one-word answer. That's all. With that one word, tell me what you believe the job of sergeant entails or what it means to you. Just one word.
Respect.
Thank you. I'm all set.
Okay. Ms. Casey?
Thank you. I had a couple questions. One is a hypothetical. Excuse me, one is a hypothetical. If you have a serious concern, if you became a sergeant, that one of your officers has been untruthful on a police report, and let's say it's a high-profile case, whether it's an OUI with somebody who was injured, somebody known in the community, a big drug bust, whatever it is, what steps would you take? Walk me through the process of how you would address that.
Well, I take the patient and well-calculated approach. Definitely don't jump to conclusions. Things aren't always what you think they are. If I have some questions, I would obviously go to the other sergeants and the chief and discuss my concerns. Thorough investigation. I feel that I'm a very good investigator, so I would take that on as just another investigation and be very thorough. Make sure I have the facts put together. Most importantly, don't jump to conclusions, I would say, and get the facts. Be very thorough and be upfront with the other administrators of the department as to what I think, and work through it to the point where I'm sure that that officer did do what I believe he or she may have done.
And then what?
Well, that's discipline is not as much always the sergeant's job. I would report to the chief. And I think our chief is open to suggestion, and we would probably round table that, but always to the chief, of course.
Okay. Thank you. And secondly, this is maybe difficult to answer, but tell me why, this goes to the confidence/humility comment that I made earlier. Tell me why I should vote for the other two candidates over you.
Kevin LeBreton would do anything for anybody at the drop of a hat. He's knowledgeable. He's an experienced officer, and he's a part of the department. He's a I shouldn't say necessary. Not that anybody's unnecessary, but he plays a big role in our department. He does a lot of things for everybody. But the biggest thing for me, what jumps right out for me about Kevin, drop of a hat, he would do anything for me. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to go into.
What about the other guy?
Rick Prince, somebody that I always.
Oh, good answer.
I always debate with. He's knowledgeable, and we have a good time debating with each other. He's a knowledgeable, confident officer, and everybody here tonight is here for a reason. So we all have our attributes. So.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I have a couple of questions. First of all, it kind of piggybacks on the question that Mr. Lamache had asked. My question that I had set here was, and this is different than the one that Jenny just gave you, because Jenny asked you really what sets the others apart from you, and you were very complimentary towards the other candidates. You've worked with them over the years. My question is, what sets you apart from the other two candidates? What makes you the better candidate?
I think if you, as a board, get together, put your heads together, and put a checklist together of all the things that you would want to see in not only a police officer or a police sergeant, all the way up to sergeant, you could go down the line and check all those things off under my name pretty easily, whether it's education, experience, skills, abilities, motivation, the merits that I have for service, all the different things that you could all come up with and just throw out there and put a checklist together. I think you could go right down the line and check me off all the way. I think I have all the tools.
What is the most difficult part of being a police officer, in your opinion?
Maintaining a good attitude with what we do. We deal with a small percentage of the people, a large percentage of the time, say 10% of the people 90% of the time, and it's easy to get sour. It's easy to start to think that society is like this, and you have to remember all the time that you're not dealing with everybody. Well, you're out there chasing someone through the woods because they just assaulted their wife or something like that, something, high level, highly volatile. You got to remember everybody else is home sleeping and you're there for a reason, and those are the good people. So don't get sour. Don't let the job sour you. That's the hardest thing to do. You want to maintain that good attitude. A good example for me is right at the top of our department, Chief Hassett, almost 30 years of experience, still can find the good in people. And I've seen officers and known officers who get sour. The hardest thing is not to get sour about the job and to remember why you're here and what you're doing, and keep that right here. These are the people that you're dealing with, but it's for a different reason, a bigger picture. Maintain sight of the bigger picture. My family, my wife, my kids, and the other 90% of the people are why I'm out there. And the 10%, don't let it get to you. That's the hardest thing.
In this community, police officer has to deal with young people, and they're very impressionable. And it's very difficult sometimes to deal with the youth of the community. Could you please explain to me your background in dealing with the youth and what you feel we need to do to help the youth of the community?
Yeah, definitely I could do that. As you know, I've been the school resource officer going into 7 years. Had a little bit of a hiatus in between with funding and whatnot, but the position's been brought back recently because of a necessity. But the kids are very important, but they have to respect you. You can't lower yourself to their level, but yet you can't treat them like they're beneath you. That's a difficult thing. It's like I try to be a parent when I'm at the high school of all 550 kids there. There's a thin line that you walk that line of respect me, but approach me, just like I do with my children. I want them to love me, but I want them to respect me. And the kids in town, they see me. It happens all day, every day. I come through all the hottest spots of town all the time, and it's, hey, Granette, how you doing? But they'll be yelling it from across the parks, and but when I walk up and I start to talk, I understand they listen, and it's because they have respect. So we have to keep their respect, and we can't treat them like they're beneath us. So it's like that father approach. So when I'm on the job, I have 3 kids, and I use those same principles. And for me, it's worked great. I've had some great relationships with a lot of the kids and formed a lot of bonds. And I like the niche that I have there, and I think it's a great thing for the community that they know me, they approach me, and that I can work with them. So
Good. Okay, we've asked all the questions. So the final thing is, do you have any closing remarks?
I'm just very fortunate to be here, and hopeful that I know in my heart I've done everything that I could possibly do to be deserving tonight and to attain the appointment. So I'm hopeful and positive, and I appreciate everyone's time and nice words. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
Want Bryn? Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening.
Just to reiterate what I said to the other candidate, there's a number of things that we take into consideration on the appointment. We interviewed you a year and a half ago, so we basically have information that we reviewed in the past. So all we had to do this time is really take information from that point in time to today. In addition to that, there are a number of other things that we take into consideration during the interview. That is the interview itself, our personal observations of you on the job. What else do we have? Oh, the packet itself, okay, of your background, your education experience. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up to the board to ask questions. We'll each have a couple of questions to ask of you, and then we'll give you an opportunity to address those, as well as a closing remark on your part at the end of the interview. So with that, first questions.
Thank you. Well, Rich, as Selectman Sad said, I took the time to sit in the Selectman's office, look over the packets that were down there. So I've got a handle on your years of experience, the amount of education you have, your test scores for the civil service exam. And as I told Jeremy, and I'll repeat it again, it's amazing how you started as an intermittent officer. So this board's sometimes gets flack about our status about that. So it just makes me smile when I see that. But my big question is, I'm coming in today and I'm really on the fence. I'm looking at a couple of candidates, and like I said, I've looked all this information over. So what I need to hear from you is, why should I vote to hire you as our next sergeant versus the other two? I know it's a tough question, but I mean, I've talked to to some of your fellow officers, the chief. I'm having a hard time because I can't get anybody to give me that stamp of approval and say, okay, this is the guy. So what can you tell me?
Well, I can tell you this, I've come before this board more times than anybody out there. I would listen to each and every one of you in the past, tell me what I needed to do, how to improve myself, make myself better, make myself the number one candidate. Every time I was in front of you, I heard that, each and every one of you are qualified. I wish we could hire you all. And each and every time, there's a reason why I don't get picked. Most of the reasons is, but as you well know, this town has a history of always appointing a senior officer. We just bypassed just recently for the most important job in the town, chief of police. Well, we bypassed 2 to get to number 3. Why? Because members of this board said we got to take in consideration his dedication, his time on the job, what he's done for the town. And that's where I believe I sit. I am now, finally, one of the things I needed to do was become senior man. And I've done that. Now I'm senior man. Okay, but that doesn't stop there. Okay? You said you have my packet in front of you, and their packet's in front of you. If you read them closely, there's nothing in that packet that they have that I don't. However, there's several things in my packet that I have that they don't. Okay? If you look at our sitting sergeants now, and past sergeants, okay, each and every one of them, every single one of them, has something in their background. Mostly, some of them have a couple things, such as a detective. 2 of them sitting out there right now were detectives. An old one that just left Chief Boss, a detective. Chief Hassett, sexual assault. Bobby Green, sexual assault. Okay? We can go on and on. I've been on a task force. Neither one of the other members have been on a task force. I'm a member of NEDA, okay? New England Drug Association. I'm the only candidate sitting up here in front of you that can make an arrest in 7 different towns. None of the other candidates can do that. That's good for a sergeant to have, I believe. I was a DARE officer way back in the past. I've donated my time. There was times where I took away from my family. Sergeant Marcelonis and I, on Christmas Eve, donated our time to go up to Orchard Hill instead of being with our families to give out presents. I've donated time in the Little Leagues. I've done everything for this town. I've given my heart to this town, and I take away from my family to do it. And I thank God for them, that they allowed me to do it. I can go on and on with why I'm a better candidate.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, next, Mr. Vos.
Mr. Brink, good evening. Very simply, why do you want to be a sergeant?
I want to be a sergeant because I came into this job with one ambition, and I think I've mentioned it to many of you. I didn't come into this department wanting to become chief of police, okay? My goal was to become a sergeant. The reason I wanted to do that is because I learned from each and every person before me. I want to become a sergeant so I can take this department to the next level, okay? I think I'm very level-headed. I've owned my own business. I've had 30 people under me. I've wrote policies and procedures that had to be okayed through the government. I know what I'm doing. I know how to handle people. I'm good with people. And that's one of the main reasons. I came in with a goal. I've only got 6, 7 more years. That's it. When my daughter gets out of school, I got about 2 years to pay her bills, and I'm done. I want to finish my career, what I started to do. And I'm hoping you guys let me do that.
Protect and serve. What does serve mean to you?
To me, serving means giving up my all to every member of this board and to every member of this town. And to my family, my friends, my co-workers. That's what serve means, to give. And I gave all these years. I can't give anymore. I'm ready to go on to the next phase.
Thank you.
Next.
Rick, in one word, just one word only, can you tell me what you believe the job of sergeant entails or what it means to you?
One word.
One word.
Confidence.
Thank you. I'm all set.
Next.
Thank you. Good evening. I got a few questions. I'm going to give you a hypothetical in the first one. Let's say that you have a serious concern that one of your officers has been untruthful in a police report. And let's say it's concerning either a high-profile drug case or an OUI with an accident with somebody known in the community. And you feel that the officer's been untruthful in a police report. What steps would you take to address that situation? Walk me through it.
I wish you could give me more information about untruthful. I mean, in what way? Did he make a mistake or is he lying in it? I mean, there's two different...
Let's, for purposes of the hypothetical, let's say that he's being dishonest, or she.
Okay. Obviously, in our field, we can't be dishonest about anything. One of the things we have is our respect, and we need to have the courts, lawyers, and other people know that we're out there doing the best job we can, that we're going to be honest about it. That would have to be dealt with accordingly. Again, this hypothetical is not giving me enough information to really, what I believe could direct me in the right direction. I'm not sure what you're looking for.
Okay.
If I had more information, I might be able to go further with it.
That's what I have. So, okay. Tell me why I should vote for you. Excuse me. Tell me why, not like Selectman LaMarche's question. Tell me why I should vote for the other 2 candidates over you.
I'm being totally honest. I believe in my heart that you should not have a reason to vote for the other 2 candidates. I've gone through this. I've been here 19 years. I can't see why you'd vote for anybody else but me. I've dedicated my life to this town.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to end it with that. I just can't see you wanting to vote for anybody else if you read my packets and seen what I've done for this town. I really can't.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I have a couple questions as well. And this is a little bit different than Selectman Casey's question and Selectman Lamarche's, in that my question is not going to ask why the other candidates would be better choice than you. My question is, what sets you apart from the other candidates?
I think my experience, the way I deal with people, I'm very level-headed. Again, I've done so much more than them that they need the opportunity to do. They need the opportunity to become detectives. They need the opportunity to join task force. They need the opportunity to become sexual assault, or to death scenes, or to pharmaceutical schools. They need that opportunity. By then promoting them to a sergeant, they might not have the opportunity to do that, and therefore, it's a loss to them. I've been there, I'm done, I'm ready.
Okay. What would you say is the most difficult part of being a police officer?
Most difficult part of being a police officer? For me, it's worrying about the sacrifice for my family. And what I'm sacrificing to follow my career the best I can, what I'm sacrificing with my family. That's probably very difficult. Family means a lot.
Okay. My final question is in regards to working with the youth of the community. As you know, youth today are very impressionable. They're our future. Could you give me a little bit about what your thoughts are working with the youth of the community and what we need to do to help the youth of the community?
I agree with you, Mr. Sad. The youth of the community it's a ongoing, I'm trying to think of the right word to say, ongoing challenge. We need to get the youth involved in more activities, keep them off the streets doing the wrong things. Again, I go back to I donate time to the Little League every single year. I'm willing to do anything they need. We could do Parks League games, where we could get members of the board, maybe members of the police department, although Officer Gurnett might not agree with that, to play basketball or something. And nothing against him, just that some of us remember he got hurt in a playful game. So, but we can get involved. We can get programs going, but we need to work together to get it. Sometimes it just doesn't seem like we're ready to work together. We always want to just throw the kids out of here and throw the kids out of there. I don't see that as a benefit. I really don't. Sometimes we kick them out of the center when they're not doing anything. We need to address it a different way. Try to work with them. Maybe ask them what they need. Maybe that would help. Get their opinions instead of always throwing our opinions on them. Again, listening. It's a good quality. Let's all work together and do it. I think I can.
All right, I think we've asked all the questions, so what we do now is leave it to you to give a closing remark, if you so choose, or remarks.
Well, I'd like to just finish off by saying this is my fourth time up here. I've tried hard. I've taken the advice from each and every one of you. Every time I got turned down, I continued my education. I continued moving forward. I strive to do better. I thank you for every opportunity there. I'm praying and believe with all my heart this is it. This is my time. So I'm asking you to give me the opportunity to serve your community in the next phase of my career. I'd like to also take the time to thank my family again for sacrificing. I took away a part of me that they could have had to be here for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Is that thing on?
Evening. Just to give you a little bit of background as to how we do this. I'm sure you're familiar with it because you've been here a number of times. We take a number of things into consideration. As you know, we take your background, your packets, we review those, personal observation, chief's recommendation, education, test scores, how you do in the interview. All these things are part of the overall decision-making, okay? They all go into how we evaluate you as a candidate. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up to the board. Vice Chair will begin with his questions. Mr. Lamarche?
Thank you, Selectman Sad. Kevin, as Selectman Sad stated, we do have the packets. I spent the time down in Selectman's office looking through them. So I'm familiar with your education, your years of experience, your test score, the fact that you sat as an intermittent police officer. My big question is, I'm coming in tonight, and I'm truly boggled. I really don't know who I should really vote for. So I'm kind of looking to each one of the candidates. I've asked them, and I'm going to ask you. Why should I vote you as a sergeant, as our next sergeant?
I'm going to do something different. I'm going to tell you who you should vote for. Jeremy Gwinnett.
Then do you want to continue with the interview?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Next.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Kevin. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I asked the previous two candidates why they want to be a sergeant, but based upon your last comment, first of all, do you want to be a sergeant?
I would, but the better man for the job is not me at this time.
Okay. Protect and serve. What do you think serve means, Kevin?
Serve is to do your best to help your community out. And it doesn't matter how small the item may be. That's what the service is about. We're here to provide a service to everybody. And it doesn't necessarily have to be just our residents, people coming through. They're lost, looking for directions, places to go, suggestions on where to eat. We're here, that's the service we provide.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Hey, Mr. Lamont?
Kev, in one word, and just one word only, can you tell me what you believe the job of a sergeant entails, or what it means to you?
Manager.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Ms. Casey?
Thank you. I have a couple questions. The first one is a hypothetical, okay? Let's say that you have a serious concern, let's say you're a sergeant in the Oxford Police Department, you have a serious concern that one of your officers has been untruthful on a police report, in a high-profile OUI personal injury case with somebody known in the community involved. What steps would you take to address that situation? Can you walk me through that?
The first thing I would do is, one, I'd try to make myself familiar with the case, read the report, any testimony that may or may not have been given in court if it had gone that far. At that point, I'd bring in the officer with whom I had the concern with, speak to them about it, and see what their recollections were, what they have to say regarding the matter. At that point, then I'd bring in, if there were other witnesses or other people who were making these allegations, I'd bring them in and speak to them. At that point, if I decided that there was, in fact, an issue that needed to be addressed, and would have to go to the chief at that point, and then it would be up to him and his discretion as to what we're going to do from there.
Okay, very good, thank you for that. And my second question was, tell me why I should vote for the other two candidates, but I think you've already answered that. But I'll let you elaborate on it, because I asked the other two fellas the same question. Tell me why I should vote for the other two candidates.
I mean, first off, Officer Granette, he is probably the best-read officer in our department. There's not a case that comes down or a court decision that comes down that he doesn't know about and how it affects us. He stays on top of it, and he tries to impart that knowledge to everybody if they need it or they want it. He's a great training officer. You know, he takes the time to teach people. He doesn't assume they know it, and he walks them through it. You got Officer Brent. He's a great investigator. He knows what needs to be done. He gets into the cases, he gets on it, and he stays on it. He follows it through, and that's important as well.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, my question is somewhat similar to Ms. Casey's and Mr. Lamarche's, and that is, I'll ask it anyway, but again, I think you've already answered it. My question is, what sets you apart from the other candidates?
What sets me apart is my knowledge of computer and technology. I'm one of the few people in the department, and I run all the video recordings, all the recording systems, audio, visual in the cruisers, computers in the cruisers, all the tech stuff, all the federal IBR sheets, the juvenile lockup sheets. So if it's technology-wise, it's me, and that's what sets me apart from the other two.
Okay. My next question is, in your opinion, what is the most difficult part of being a police officer?
Not taking it for granted. You know, sometimes you come in, you deal with the same people over and over again, and you kind of have to remember that even though you're dealing with them for the fifth or sixth time, it's a real problem for them, and you can't just take it as just, oh, it's them again.
Okay. My final question is about the youth of the community and working with the youth. As you know, the youth are very impressionable. It's a difficult age. They can go either way. In your opinion, what do you think we have to do to help the youth of the community? And what background have you had working with the youth of the community? A two-part question.
I haven't had a lot of experience working with the youth of the community. I mean, we have a good start with the community center. You know, we've given them the skate park, the basketball courts. I think we need to take it a step further, maybe, to help alleviate some of the problems that we have in the center at night, giving them something to do or some place to go where they can gather, either keeping the community center open later at night and giving them a place where they can go, hang out, sit around and talk, as opposed to them gathering in the center, N&J Donuts, they're interrupting the traffic there, the people there. That's the constant gripe you hear from them is, well, there's nowhere for us to go. I think that's one of our next steps, that we need to find some place where they can go and congregate and not have to worry about us coming down and kicking them out every 20 minutes.
Okay, in closing, do you have any closing remarks?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, the next thing we do is we will discuss candidates, and upon discussion of all three candidates, I will then entertain a motion for an appointment. So with that, I open it up for discussion. Anybody want to start? Yes.
You know, John, we have three great candidates across the board. I think we're really privileged to have three really great candidates. I know it's a long road for all three of them. Unfortunately, we can only pick one today, and I just want to say thank you to each one of them for coming down, their years of service, and I just want to assure them that this has been a difficult decision for myself, and I'm sure for the other board members. Like Mr. Lamar said, we've done our homework. We've gone through the packets. We've talked with the chiefs. we've done our research. This isn't something that any of us take lightly, so, that's, all I really want to say. I mean, I was very impressed with the interviews, and I don't have anything further. I'm ready to vote when everyone else is.
Mr. Lamountain?
I don't know if you want to talk about individual candidates, or we're just going to talk about all three, or what. I know when we first started and you sat with, when Mr. Gwinnett sat before us, you said we were going to take score, background, recommendation, education, personal observations in the community, personal observations on the job into consideration. I know, that the town council has said we can consider the applicant's material and presentation at the interview, personal observations, as you said, recommendations. I got to tell you, out of all the interviews, and, okay, we've interviewed all of you before at one phase or another, okay? Jeremy, you did well. Kevin, I am floored. I am floored. Honest to God, I saw a man put himself out there, show true leadership qualities, have an understanding of the position and an understanding of the department, and realizing that there's somebody better than you, and you telling us that. It'd be nice if you were the, first candidate and we wanted number two, because then you'd have given us the reason for bypass, which is what happened in the chief's interviews. I believe when Mike Boss was appointed, when applicants 1 and 2 had no problem with him getting that appointment and conveying that to this board or to members of this board, that they said 1 and 2 for the bypass, he's deserving, I'll step aside. So that's what happened there. Kev floored me, honestly. Jeremy, awesome. Rick, there were some answers I wish, you're applying for a position of sergeant. I wish you could have said some reason, given some reason why the other 2 had qualifications for the job. They had no problem giving it to you, and I would have liked to have seen that, because as a manager of men, you've got to know your men. You've got to respect your men as much as they've got to respect you, and you've got to respect what they offer. I didn't see that with you. So in the interview, okay, I'll draw my own conclusions there, and I told you how I feel and rank that. Scores, we all know your scores. They've come through. We have them. Recommendations, we have that. Education, we have that. Personal observations in the community. Every one of you have done something for the community, be it being a Little League coach, giving your time up at Orchard Hill, giving your time up as Secret Santa, working behind the scenes at Secret Santa and not having anything to do with it, working on your time on computer stuff. There's all sorts of stuff you all do for the community that if the folks out there knew, hey, Jeremy, you'd all have commendations hanging on your wall by somebody for sure, okay? But you ain't out there doing it for that. You're out there doing it because you do it. That's your cops. As Mike asked, you protect and serve. It's part of service, and you all service well. I looked at the current roster of sergeants we have. Sergeant Sad, Marcelonis, Green. And I look at the diversities of your backgrounds. Tony, what your training is. And I got to tell you, Tony, you impressed me, and you really do. When I asked you about something and you said, although you didn't have the training, you knew where to get the people who do have the training. That's been my answer my whole life. That's what's made me successful. I didn't need to know it. I just need to know somebody who does. And you gave that answer. And Kev, when you said manager, that's basically what a sergeant is. You got to be able to manage your resources and the resources of the town and know your talents and put them where they're necessary. That was a good answer there. I have, not unlike Mike, I'm all set to listen to what y'all have to say, but I mean, I've got my candidates ranked 1, 2, and 3 as well. That's all I have right now, John.
Anyone else?
For discussion, yes. I want to point out, I don't want to be redundant here, but we've got some direction with respect to each candidate and how we are to approach this process. And for the people at home and for the people in the audience, I mean, most of you can probably recite the factors that we are supposed to take into consideration, or the tools that we're supposed to use. And I believe Selectman Lamountain touched on it, but I'm going to repeat them. One of which, and I use all of these equally, I give them all pretty much equal weight across the board, is the score. The scores that you all received on the assessment center. And we as a community made a decision a number of years ago that we weren't going to just go with a standardized test. We wanted to think outside of the box. We wanted real-life hypotheticals, and we wanted our officers to be tested in ways that dealt with real human scenarios. So we as a board made that decision, we committed to that assessment center, and those scores from the assessment center is something that we obviously going to use as a tool in trying to arrive at the right decision tonight. Background and education, that for me, education is a big component in this process. The recommendation of the chief of police is a factor that we are supposed to give substantial weight to. Our personal observations during the interview. I would say that in all, you all displayed confidence during your interviews. Some of the answers I thought were better than the others. With respect to my second question, the modesty and humility, I was really looking for each of you to say something really nice and positive, truthful about the other candidates, because I think one of the things that is very important in any leadership capacity that one may take on in this world is humility and modesty, and you have to respect other people, and you can always find something nice to say about somebody, especially if you respect them. And the first question was just a straightforward hypothetical, and the answer that I was looking for was thorough investigation, talk to everybody, don't jump to conclusions, and at the end of the day, you go to your superior, the chief. So there were no tricks in that question. It was just a flat, straight hypothetical, and those were the things that I was looking for. The other factor that we're to consider is personal observations on the job. I would say to all of you that you all have high marks in the community for what you've done, not only in uniform but out of uniform, the commitment that you've made to this town over the years, time away from your family, time with your family, setting examples for your family, no matter what the charity or the cause. So from that standpoint, I would put you all pretty much on the same playing field. But those are the factors that I'm looking at across the board with each of you, and that's what I'll be basing my decision on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I would just like to say that in my reviewing each of the candidates, it was very difficult to come up with what I felt would be the best criteria in which to judge which candidate was better, because they each had something different to offer, okay? For example, Jeremy had the educational background. He was the highest on the test, and he got the recommendation of the police chief. Now, with Rick Bryn, he's an individual that I've had more opportunity to observe because he's been on the department longer than the other two candidates. And I've known Rick over the years personally. He's grown up with my kids. I have kids his age. So I've known him over the years, and I've known him to be a very honest, sincere, trustworthy individual. And I kept in my mind trying to be as objective as I can, knowing that I've known him longer than everybody else. And it was difficult for me. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, because I've gotten to know Jeremy over the years. When I go down to pick up my grandchild at the St. Louis school, Jeremy's there picking up his kid, and we chat together and we talk about life in general in the community. And I've gotten to have a lot of respect for Jeremy, and I've watched him in his involvement over the years in the department, and that in itself is something that I think you have to have. Mr. LeBreton, I know Mr. LeBreton, and I know his background. I've watched him and what he's done in the community. I've talked to people that have also observed him on the job. I know what he's done in the department. When we built the new police station, he was there day in and day out helping with the communication system setup. So, I mean, all these people have different aspects of the police position that are beneficial to the overall benefit of the Oxford Police Department. And that's what makes this very, very difficult. And whoever gets the job will certainly be an asset to this community. the town can't lose because we have 3 outstanding candidates. And with that being said, and if nobody else has any comments or questions, I will entertain a motion on the floor.
I'd like to make a motion that we promote Mr. Jeremy Granite to sergeant.
Second.
We have a motion that's been moved in second. Discussion on the motion? Is there any discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, I'll make it unanimous. Let the record show 5 in the affirmative. Motion carries. Mr. Granette, you can pick up your papers at the clerk's office. The position becomes effective Monday, October 1st. Okay? Congratulations.
I didn't call a foul on that kid, did I? No. Who tripped over me? Sorry about that.
I'll never forget.
You have the papers now?
You didn't
They'll be
follow
downstairs.
No, he was complaining.
Damn.
He can get sworn in any time, right?
No, he's good.
Oh, head first. Okay, okay. Good.
He's done my time.
Okay, what's the next item here?
Manager's report?
We're there already?
That's it, that's the agenda.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda would be the manager's report. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Chairman Sad. Manager's report for September 25, 2012. We have meeting minutes. Request the board vote to approve the meeting minutes of August 7th, 2012. Selectman Lamountain was absent. Pleasure of the board.
So moved to approve those minutes.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes, let the record show 3 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, and 1 absent.
We have a state election warrant. This is for the November 6th state election. Request the board vote to sign the election warrant. Pleasure of the board.
Obtain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Discussion. There being none, call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, let the record show 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent. Motion carries.
We have the appointment of Police Officer Jason Burdette. At your last meeting, you've accepted the lateral transfer of Police Officer Jason Burdette from the Millbury Police Department. Request the board vote to sign the reappointment papers for Officer Burdette to serve with the Oxford Police Department again, effective October 1st, 2012. Pleasure of the board.
Obtain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Discussion. There being none, call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, let the record show 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent. Motion carries.
We have a change in a, quote, "doing business as," close quote, or DBA. Request the board vote to approve and sign Form 43. I believe this is for the ABCC, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
On the liquor license, for Periwinkle's Pub and Restaurant Incorporated to change its DBA to J. Anthony's Italian Grill. That's J. Anthony's Italian Grill. Pleasure of the board.
Obtain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Discussion. There being none, call for the vote.
Yes.
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 There you go. You
Record
made
show
it.
5 in the affirmative. Motion carries.
Good catch.
We have a crop walk for 2012. The board has received a request from the Oxford Ecumenical Council for permission to hold their 37th annual crop walk on Sunday, October 21st, beginning at 1 p.m. Registration will be at 12:30 p.m. It starts at the Oxford Congregational Church. All information has been submitted to the police chief. The walk is open to the public, and if anyone has questions, they can contact the Oxford Food Shelf at 508-987-1062. Pleasure of the board.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. There being none, the vote. Call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, let the record show 5 in the affirmative, motion carries.
We have some requests from the Tercentennial Committee. The board's received a request from Tercentennial Committee for a special pouring license for the sale of beer and wine on Saturday, July 13th and Sunday, July 14th, 2013. This is in conjunction with the town's 300th anniversary celebration. Pleasure of the board.
Before I entertain a motion on this one, I would request the board to take this under advisement till our next meeting. I would like to have the opportunity to get more information on this from the committee itself, and then maybe have the committee in at our next meeting.
Great idea.
Okay, could we have the, Mr. Hammond in? Is that okay? With the board?
Yes.
Fine with me.
Okay.
It's your agenda.
And the reason why I'm doing this is because this is going to create some discussion, because we've had problems in the past with liquor licenses on Main Street, and I'm not against it, I'm all for it, but I think that there ought to be some discussion as to guidelines, and it would be best to have them here when we're discussing it,
Not a problem with me.
okay?
So we'll hold that one, hold the next
We'll
one
hold
too
it the
then.
next
You
meeting.
want to hold the next one, which is they've also requested, Tercentennial Committee has requested a general entertainment license for outside entertainment during the 300th anniversary celebration on Saturday, July 13th and Sunday, July 14th.
Wow, are you fast, John?
Boy, you fast.
Man.
Too fast. On this one here, I really don't see any issue with this. If you all got the memo, he explains that they want to have entertainment on the Common from 10 to 10, and on Main Street from 10 to 11 on those 2 days, the 13th and the 14th, I believe.
Yes.
I really don't see that as an issue. We've done it before. And I know that the board may have some concern about the neighbors next to the Common, because there's single-family homes. But we've done this in the past, and this is only going to happen once every 100 years. So I think they can put up with some bands playing on the Common, and there being some entertainment there.
How were they last time, John? No.
So I think a motion is
So moved.
Second.
moved and seconded.
All right, Mike.
Any discussion?
Just,
Yes.
if we could, for the houses that are right on, I'm not trying to create more work for the committee. I know they're overworked at this point, but I did second it, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Can we just, for the people right there on the Common, we just send out a courtesy letter saying that on this time,
Do that.
on this date, entertainment will be till 10 PM in celebration of our 300th, just as a courtesy.
If
I
you
mean-
want, Jen, we could have our clerk do it, because I know they're short-staffed.
Okay, can we just do that? I mean, it's a handful of letters, and I think it'll make everything smoother for
There's
everybody.
only like maybe 8 abutters, immediate
Right.
abutters. So,
Thank
if
you.
there's no further discussion on that one, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Abstain?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, let the record show 4 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, motion carries.
You want to take Mr. Hammond now? I only
Do
have,
you want to discuss the liquor now, or do you want to come in later?
Whatever works for the board. I can give a brief overview. I didn't bring any paperwork with me. I actually was looking for the entertainment tonight, but I wouldn't have a problem with trying to remember pretty much everything off the top.
Okay, but there's a number of questions I think that probably should be answered. So if you want to come forward.
It's Karen.
Is it okay with the board to?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, you're asking for a liquor permit for both days. Location being the Oxford Public Library. One other question that comes into mind, have you contacted the library trustees?
I wasn't sure what the protocol was supposed to be as far as, since it is town property, if I had to go through that, or if I first had to find out whether or not the concept would be approved to allow the sale of adult beverages, even to be considered for the event.
Okay, so
So, no,
you can
the-
be flexible with the location?
If we can find another location, if they say no, we can work at it. 'Cause the primary reason we selected that location was it was near the entertainment, number one, and number two, it gave the area that was best suited to serve as an area where it could contain the adult beverages easier. One of the concerns that we had had, and one of the things that came back from one of the insurance companies that we had spoken with, was that it had to be in a containable area, or they recommended that it was in a containable area. And with the unique layout that the library has with that cutout for the parking along the side, the beer wagons and wine dispensers could go there, then you could pretty much do a rectangular food and beverage court in that general area of the library, and you could keep them near the stage so people aren't going to be upset that they can't go out into the general public with a beverage. They would be contained in that area, they can come in, they'd have their beverage. When they're finished, they could go back out, do the dancing in the streets, socialize out there if they want, but it would still be near the main entertainment. Any other location would take them away from the entertainment, and I think they'd be harder to control.
Does the board have any problem with me asking
No, go ahead,
a number
John.
of questions? Because
Right.
only because I've been
Founders
involved in
Day,
this.
sure.
I notice in your request that you've asked the nonprofits to apply for the license,
Yes.
okay? And you mentioned the VFW, the American Legion, Singletary Rod and Gun. Okay, just to give you some background as to how we did it, and, you know, if you want to take that into consideration, fine. But what we did is, we limited it to the veterans organizations running it, only because they were specific, they were a specific nonprofit. If you open it up to all nonprofits, organizations, then that means that everybody is eligible. The churches are eligible, okay? And we didn't want to step on any organization's toes. We didn't want to step on the Boy Scouts, we didn't want to step on the Knights of Columbus, we didn't want to step on the Lions Club, we didn't want to step on any of those organizations, because they're all eligible to get a license. And it's not a license through the ABC. This is really not a license, it's a special permit, which we as the licensing authority would issue here locally, okay? So I think that might create a problem for you, because they're going to say, well, why did you single out those three nonprofits? And it was easier for us to just give it to the veterans, because we felt that the veterans organization is all-encompassing. These people go out, they put their lives on the line for their country and their community, and that's why we did it for the veterans. It was easier to justify. And the other organization said, well, yeah, it makes sense, kind of thing, you know?
The only reason we added the other club into it was because it was a nonprofit, and those are the only three nonprofits that I am aware of anyways, that serve adult beverages already and already have trained people. So that was the only thing that brought into that consideration, because we have no problem with just limiting it to the veterans
But
at all.
you do know that anybody, it doesn't even have to be the veterans if you so choose. If you had an organization that would, you know, want to do it as a committee, you could recommend them. So, you know what I'm saying? It's entirely up to your committee, but I just wanted to let you know how that came about and the reasoning for it.
Okay. That can be addressed with the committee. I don't think that they'd have a problem with adjusting that.
And I noticed that you wanted to charge $1,000 up front to whoever was going to be running this.
Okay.
All right. I just told this out as a suggestion. When we did it a couple different ways on Founder's Day. First of all, we had the bar owners and package stores, when we first started Founder's Day, the tavern set up a thing outside, to be sure, set up a thing outside, you know?
To be sure.
That was his, yeah.
That, we all know him by to be sure, right? Mr. Corelli.
To be sure.
Mr. Corelli, to be sure. And what we did is we asked for a certain percentage of their sale. And to be honest with you, we didn't get what we thought we should be getting because there was no control. They were running it, they were private money-making corporations, so we know we didn't get what we should have gotten. So we did away with that. They did it for several years, and then we did away with that, and that's when we gave it to the veterans organizations. And what we did is, in order to have control, we had committee members selling the tickets. And what we did is, at the end of the weekend, we took all those tickets that we sold, we counted them up, and we got our percentage right off the top. Right off the top. And we noticed like 150% increase in our profit by doing that. Because it takes the money control away from the organization that's selling the beer. Okay? We gave them the money for each ticket. Okay? We collected the money, so they gave us the tickets back. For every ticket they gave us, we gave them the value of each of those tickets. And then we took our cut right off the top. And I suggest that you do that because you can't lose.
Did you charge an upfront fee in addition to the tickets, or was it strictly a percentage?
It was strictly a percentage. And the money that you will make on beer and wine is going to blow your mind.
Well, the thing that
Because I'll tell you, that was our biggest fundraiser. That paid for all our entertainment.
Right. The concern that the committee had is, after July 14th, there is no more tercentennial committee, which is also why we put in a little provision about future celebrations and a portion to possibly go back to the general fund. But we needed something up front to make sure there was something to help offset our costs, because we're going to be bringing in some considerable entertainment and activities, and that was why we had
You could use that money to pay off any expenses you have, and the balance turned over to a future committee. We've done that in the past.
Okay.
That's a thought. It's something to consider.
I
Board
don't think the
members?
committee was objecting to any modifications. They were still open to it. It was mostly so we can go ahead with trying to get going with the actual planning, because for instance, the veterans organizations, they need to be able to commit to get the utilities that they're going to need, the devices that they're going to need. And I know that they have them penciled in, but they can't give a firm commitment, and
they
we
have to
be able
they have to be told that they need a liability insurance. They have to get that. It's a certificate they can get from any of the insurance companies, any
That
insurance
was
company.
in our packet too, that we did want that, as well as purchasing a policy on our own to further protect the town and the committee.
And I noticed that you want police officers, and those officers are going to be paid at a rate of like around $40 an hour.
And we already have an estimate from the police department.
Okay, and that money that you raise from the sale of alcohol could come off the top to pay those officers as well. So there is a benefit there for having the beer and wine
Oh, yes.
wagons. And I like your suggestion about having an area roped off. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the grass. It can be on Main Street, as long as there's a fence, even if it's construction fencing.
Okay.
That the highway department has. Whatever, as long as they're contained. Board members have any suggestions or comments?
Well, I've talked to Alan about this in quite depth at times, and so he knows where I stand. I'm in favor of it. I think it would help the celebration tremendously. The biggest concern I had, as you do, is that it's fenced off. It's got to be very much contained so that you cannot have somebody that's under the age that can get a hold of one of those drinks, and it's got to be something that's got to be monitored. I don't care how many times I go in there personally, let's say to buy a drink, I should be asked every time, boom, show an ID. I think that's very, very important, which we've discussed. The the aspect of the veterans, I like very much having an organization like that do the serving for the reason that he stated also is their experience. They're people that know how to make drinks, know how to serve drinks. They, have that experience, where if you get a local, even the Lions Club, we don't have that experience, so, we're not going to be able to serve as well. So I really think it should stick with the veterans personally, and I'm all for it. Thank you.
Other comments, concerns, questions? No? That being the case, then I'll ask the board to support issuing a beer and wine permit for those 2 days, July 13th and 14th, with conditions to be spelled out as far as time of operation.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Okay, moved and seconded, discussion? There being none?
May I?
Yes.
Is this permit going to be issued to the Tercentenary Committee?
No, they're gonna-
Or to the people who will serve?
They're going to tell us who's going to do it, if it's the VFW or whatever organization's going to do it. And then
And then those people are
those people are
responsible?
responsible
Okay, good, thank you.
for it. Any other questions?
It's going to be a local organization, obviously,
Yes.
right, town.
Our policy so far has been first Oxford, and then if there's no takers from a nonprofit Oxford, then it would be the next town out. Already been in discussions, hypothetical discussions with both the VFW and the American Legion, and they are looking forward to being able to do this if it does indeed get approved. And it would be that one more thing off our checklist of things that we need to do. The details, yes, the devil's in the details, we'll get the details ironed out, but at least that's one less thing that we could get ironed out, and I'll approach the library to see if that's a doable option. That, to me, is the ideal, and the committee felt that was the ideal location, which is you ask for the best, and
Yep.
then you settle if you have to.
Any other-
Just wanted to make that point, that it's going to be a local,
It will
in-town
be.
organization. We're
I
not
agree.
we're not just issuing it in a vacuum.
No.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call for the vote.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
4 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
And finally, I have a couple of announcements. Bulk item drop-off is scheduled for October 27th and November 3rd, the last Saturday of October and the first Saturday of November. And as typically the case, it's the north side of town, that's from Charlton Street and Sutton Avenue North, will be going on October 27th, and on Saturday 23rd for the south part of town, that's Charlton Street and Sutton Avenue to the south. Now, if you can't make those days, if you know ahead of time, oh, I live in the north part of town, but I'm going to be out of town and I have stuff I want to take, contact the DPW. That's okay. You have to let them know ahead of time, no later than October 25th, which is the Thursday before the first Saturday of bulk item drop-off. And the times on both Saturdays will be from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And of course, it's at the Oxford Transfer Station, which is up near the Leicester Town line at 200 Leicester Street, Route 56. And you must have proof of residency, because this is for Oxford residents only.
Through the chair, through the chair, Mr. Manager, what would that mean, proof of residency, like a driver's license?
Driver's license, yes.
Okay, so you need a driver's license to use the bulk item pickup day, but not to vote?
That's correct.
Okay, just
And
wanna
to get a
make sure
drink.
Okay.
Or to
Just
go
wanna
to
make sure I
BJ's,
understand
just
that.
found out.
Or to pick up furniture at Rotman's. Just learned that one, too. Thank you.
Yes.
I agree with you, it's okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, and two other reminders. We have a special town meeting, October 3rd at 7 p.m. That's next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow. It's very important you be there. It's a short agenda. We need 100 people, but it has a lot to do with our budget and your tax rate. Listen in, I'll be talking about it in a minute. And the special election on the Bay Path Regional School District appropriation will be the next day, next Thursday, October 4th. That'll be at the regular polling places, but it's from 12 noon to 8 p.m. The law allows only an 8-hour window for voting for this kind of special district-wide election. So it's, if you want to have your vote count, remember to be there, probably after work. And that ends my report for September 25th. Thank you.
Selectmen's requests, Mr. Lamarche.
Thank you. Well, in our packets, we received some information about Bismarck, the new mini-mart
Yes.
that's opening down the street. And I believe, from what I understand, the person that has the wine and beer license for Sunny Farms right now has been discussing with Bismarck about possibly selling beer and wine there. I could be wrong, but I think that's what I understand from our town clerk. And the thing that I was wondering if this board should probably send a letter to the owner of Bismarck, because when you look at the stuff we got in our packet, he's written a nice little letter saying what he's going to do, and one of the things he said is he's going to sell beer and wine. That's what he would like to do. And our building department has stamped that, signed it, and said approved. And the way I read that, that could be misconstrued to be a positive that, oh, okay, I guess I can sell beer and wine as a possibility. So I didn't know if that's something that maybe as a board, we should send a reminder that, I don't know what this guy for Sunny Farms is going to do with his license, but until he comes before this board, I would think that he can't do anything with that license.
You're exactly right. And I think we're kind of putting the cart before the horse here.
Okay.
I think the first thing that has to happen, if my memory serves me correctly, and having this happen before, is that if we are aware, and we are aware, that that location no longer houses that corporation, the license is issued to that location, that corporation. So we have to, the board has to vote to notify them that that license, we have to know what their intentions are with that license. ABC, I believe, allows 30 days. They call it a pocket license. You cannot take a license and just sit on it without using it. ABC says 30 days. We, in the past, as a local licensing authority, have extended that period of time. We did it for Roxy's, if you remember. I think Mr. Lamountain made a motion to that effect at one time. As a matter of fact, I think they got like 60 days or something. And the ABC allowed us to do it because it was a local issue and we were able to justify. So I think that we have to vote to send a letter to them telling them that the license is not in use, that they have X number of days. I don't know what the board wants to put as far as days, if they want to go by the ABC standard or not. That's up to the board. But the letter should go out to them immediately. Yes?
Well, Mr. Sadik, I had thought about that when I saw that he went out of business on September 1st. He was out of there. And I had the owner of the property, of course, wanted to get the license. It's his license. All he has to do is come before us and give us his intention that he's looking for another facility, give us a time frame, and I'm sure. Where he hasn't stepped forward, I know we have renewals getting ready to come up soon. I know that we typically we renew, the people pay, we renew. In this situation where we know we have a known problem, which is no facility, it's not an automatic renewal. He comes in to renew and he has to present to us then. If you want to get a letter saying, hey, we're going to expect it, and maybe have a show cause to see if he should maintain it or give us his reasons, we can schedule whatever you'd like, Mr. Chair. But I know that we see them in typically, November, December?
November, that everyone has to sign.
In November.
Yep.
So that's when we could, I knew we weren't going to go years on this. I knew we only had a matter of a couple months on this. I didn't realize the 30-day rule. I remember doing, extending license periods of not use, but, whatever. I have no problem. Dennis, as far as the man goes, the building department or planning board can sign off on anything. We're going to want to sell cigarettes, beer, wine, lottery, whatever. We're the licensing authority. And, nobody would argue that point.
I know that, but just the way it was worded and then stamped approved, when I first read it, I said, wow, this guy could actually think that he can now set it up.
The approved wasn't with the Board of Selectmen seal, though.
All right.
Yeah.
So we could shut that right down if
There's nothing there, yeah.
chance he did that. Okay.
So I will entertain a motion. Oh, you all done?
Yeah.
I will entertain a motion to send them a letter instructing them that we're aware of the fact that they're no longer doing business at that location, and that they have 30 days to notify the board as to where and what they want to do with the license.
I'll make
Second.
that motion.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Abstain.
Yes, let the record show 4 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, motion carries.
And the second thing is, just to the town manager, I forgot to ask you when we met there. Anything happen with the Cumberland Farms issue with the sidewalk? I know the nice painted lines look really vibrant there, but any chance we can get a raised curbing there, or, you know,
Thought
to
we had-
prevent?
I remember
No.
Sean was, I thought Sean.
It's all painted. They
Oh, so
painted it.
State Highway
Yeah,
did that?
It's
I've
really
driven by
nice.
there and I've seen, and you're right, cars park right on the sidewalk.
Constantly, yeah, it's a
Crazy.
constant thing, so, you know,
I thought you brought this up before.
I did,
And I
and
thought-
nothing has happened, that's why I
But they
was-
painted it, that's
They
what they
painted it,
did.
yeah, it looks real nice,
gonna help.
you know, but they just still park on it, so,
Painting does not help.
thank you, that's all I have.
Mr. Vos?
Yeah, one quick thing. I'd mentioned the gas, bringing gas to some of the buildings in town, and since I spoke with a couple of residents who are involved with the senior center, and they'd mentioned that Miss Elizabeth Hardy, the director over there, was talking with the gas company to do some conversions over there, and she's had some very, very good success with them. Kind of streamlined it a little bit. She gave me some numbers to call. I spoke to a gentleman a couple of days ago. He was very optimistic that he could work with the town of Oxford as far as bringing in some gas lines to some buildings at no cost to the town of Oxford. He also says some quite a bit of incentive programs out there as far as upgrading our equipment, which I was very happy to hear. And he's anxious to get together with myself and Joe and start the discussion process. I just wanted to bring the board up to
Good.
speed on that, and that's all I have.
Mr. Lamont?
Well, Mr. Chair, if you can recall, last meeting, we had Bay Path here, Superintendent LaFleche, and he was giving us the numbers on the total rehab project at Bay Path being $39.64 a year. And I had asked him, what would the 15.8 work out to on the town of Oxford's taxpayer if it were, to have to be amortized out? He said he'd run that model and get back. He did get back to me, and it worked out to be $27.27 per year. Okay, so you're looking at 27 versus 39, $12 and change. Over the life of the project, $643 per taxpayer to go from a brand-new facility or just rehab an old facility. Now, I'm reading a lot on the vote no on Bay Path, and I know this board has publicly said we'll endorse and support the Bay Path renovation project, and I appreciate that. But vote no is actually, saying that the project could stop, they could do some other things, and then they could pick up again. They submitted back in 2007, they had to put in their statement of interest. It's been 5 years to get from that point to this point. And if we stop the process, it's been 10 years. It was 2002 that a building committee was appointed to just look at, does it need to be done? So they're already 10 years into it. One of the neat things about Bay Path now in SBA versus even when we did our schools is you have to give them a plan for a 50-year facility. It's got to be for 50 years out. That school's 40 years old, John. You know what, I could sit here and say, hey, sing all the reasons as to why we should do it. I think we all know why we should do it. But I think I really will use my bully pulpit here for a minute to try to ask the voters out there, the people who graduated from Bay Path, went to Bay Path, who were making their livings because they had that education afforded to them by the people of Oxford and the surrounding communities, their families, their employees, and several of those people have employees, if they could get out there on the 4th to vote. All we need to do is get the majority on. I know the taxpayers of Oxford are tired. A lot of people are tired. We have debt exclusions for police stations and school renovations and middle and elementary school renovations. this is important as well. This is 143 of our students are currently enrolled. Hundreds have already graduated, or probably over 40 years, thousands have graduated, and thousands more will graduate with trades. And being a tradesman is not a dirty word anymore. You know, in the old days, it was, oh, the kid can't cut it in college, send him to Bay Path. Now it's like, you know what? The kid wants to make a fortune. Let him become a plumber. Let him become an electrician, a carpenter, because they're making the bread now. You know, the white-collar jobs aren't making the bread that the blue-collar jobs. But please, it's important to get out to vote. Through you, on my second request, Joe, we talked about the crosswalk on 56, and do so.
Yes.
I don't know, he asked me about it again today, and this is the first time I'll say it publicly. Mr. D, you see, I'm asking, okay? He's heard the phone calls when I've been on the phone with you. If you can get me some information on that, I'd appreciate it. This next request, it's kind of weird. We had, I stepped off the panel when Jen Scott was appointed to her full-time post tonight, and you, Jen and Dennis, appointed her to the full-time position. You know, I know that because of things that happened in the past, Officer Laskis, Gifford, Carnley, and now Scott, and our newest PI Officer Akafeska, were all appointed, and I had nothing to do with the process. I'd like to publicly welcome them, thank them, and, you know, wish them a long and healthy career as members of the Oxford Police Department. Had I been involved in the process, I would have voted for every one of them. I just wish them well in their endeavors. And finally, on a personal note, before I came down here, I had to leave a birthday party. And, you know, the little guy today, it was my oldest grandson's 7th birthday. And we were talking about Selectmen, and I said, Boo-Boo, he said, don't call me Boo-Boo on TV, call me Miles. So to Miles, I want to say happy 7th, Pepe loves you, and I'll be home soon. And that's it.
Ms. Casey.
I gotta follow that. I don't have anything, Mr. Chairman.
You sure?
I am sure.
Okay. I have just one request that I'd like to ask of the manager. I have heard that Cumberland Farms is going to be doing some rehab work to their building out here next to the town hall. You have any knowledge to that?
Haven't heard that
Have
yet.
any permits been requested?
I'll check.
Please do.
I know they rebuilt the one on 12 and 20,
Yeah.
but they tend to be investing more in the gas station type. I don't know, but I'll find out. That's interesting.
I know.
Okay.
I heard it, and I said that I would ask, and it was somebody that I think had someone who works for Cumberland Farms that,
And it's the one next door to the town hall?
yeah,
Save them a shitload of money.
just find out if there's anything.
I
in the
will.
West. Because, you know, that is right in the center of our town, and if they're going to be doing any work there, you know, I really think that the town should be fully involved, because I'm very concerned, and I'm sure other people are, about what the downtown area looks like.
I agree.
You know, if they're going to be putting up a green and white facade on that building, I'm certainly going to have something to say about it. I don't know what we can do about it, as I'm not that familiar with what the requirements are as far as the building codes are. But I think it's worth looking into. It's kind of a step forward in case it does happen.
Very good.
Thank you. That's all I have. Is there anything else come before the board? There being nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. We are adjourned.
Okay. Thank you.
I didn't mean senior center, Joe. I meant council on aging.
Okay.
So I said you're looking.
I left this on for a minute.
Oh.
I want to make a quick add to the Selectmen's Meeting tape. I mentioned that Wednesday, October 3rd, that's a week from tomorrow, today's the 25th, at 7 PM, the Oxford High School. This is an extremely short special town meeting. I promise you that we can do this very quickly, but we need 100 people there to make it happen. The articles are these: 1, to hear reports. We do this at every town meeting. 2 is to reduce the amount of money we appropriated at the May 2012 annual town meeting for our debt financing, our debt and interest payment. We're going from, get this, $1,603,000 down to $857,000. And the reason is, many of you viewers may recall, is that the board recently approved a refinancing of one of our elementary school debts, loans. And we took advantage of that, and we're getting a better interest rate. And we got early payout from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, so it will reduce our debt payment and, of course, the money that we'll get from the MSBA this year. The effect is a reduction on this year's tax rate of 10 cents per thousand. Now, how that'll be translated next year, we'll see, but that's not insignificant. That's important, and it's a good reason to get out there. And then, the final article is to increase spending for the school department based on an increase in state aid. Between May and July 1st, the state provided more state aid that we target to schools. It's about a little over $125,000, and so we need your support to make these two things happen. And hopefully folks will come out. If you have any question on these, please call me, 508-987-6030. Thank you. That's all I have. Good.